Анна Фансатовна, ты здесь? Я тебя не вижу. Да.
Да, я здесь. Привет.
Так, у нас с трансляцией все нормально?
Да, я запускаю уже.
Может, не надо пока? Давайте ровно в 3 начнем трансляцию. Потому что у нас всегда в трансляции в начале вот эти вот наши организационные моменты, и запись ровно в 3, и трансляцию ровно в 3. Давайте начнем.
У вас такой номер уже.
И нельзя прервать. Ну зачем вот это вот все нужно? 5-минутное наше бла-бла.
Ну, кинь, редактировать это базу, не страшно.
Хорошо. Где у нас заставка для участников о предупреждении, что на 3 языках дубляж возможен с инструкцией? И, Нуркен, нужно будет дать доступ Гайнелю Сатаевой на демонстрацию экрана. Все хорошо. Так, ребят, мы готовы? Уважаемые друзья, добро пожаловать на...
Dear friends, welcome to the regular session of Al-Farabi Science Talks. So, all we know that this year marks the anniversary of the great scientist and philosopher Abu Nasr Al-Farabi under the auspices of UNESCO. And our university, Al-Farabi Kazakh National University, is planning a series of online public lectures, format events, science talks from September 13th. in the framework of a project intended to study and understand the heritage of the great philosopher. So my name is Bigjan Berikbayevich. I'm the director of the Al-Farabi Center. From September 30th, we had several sessions that were dedicated to the Al-Farabi and his philosophy and his heritage. So they were Abu Nasr al-Farabi, philosopher of civilizations, author the Center of Intersection and Interaction of Various Cultures. And also there was the series that were dedicated to intercultural dialogue and mutual understanding, interaction of cultures, religions, ways of life in history and modernity, and a reflection of intercultural and interreligious interaction in art. Today, we are starting a new series dedicated to interdisciplinary problems in science. And today's session is Abu Nasr Al-Farabi, is a philosopher of civilizations, ethics, and humanism. Today, the Al-Farabi's philosophy and his ideas are still relevant. And I would like to welcome our participants. I would like to welcome and thank our speakers, Gabdulin Maratbek Tolorbigenovich. So I'm very happy to see you here today, and I'm honored to welcome you as a speaker. He's a candidate of physics and mathematics, PhD doctor. Also, he's a winner of the Al-Farabi State Prize for Science and Technology in 2015. He's a famous scientist in the field of nanotechnology and plasma physics. So, Maratbek Gabidulin has made a significant contribution to theoretical and experimental research of physical processes of synthesis of nanomaterials, running in plasma environment, obtaining new composite nanomaterials, storage of hydrogen in a nanomaterials, and practical aspects of nanomaterials application in industry. He is also one of the first scientists in Kazakhstan engaged in synthesis and research of carbon nanoscales. He maintains close creative contacts with leading scientists from various scientific world centers. Also, he is a holder of the State Scholarship of the Republic of Kazakhstan for talented young scientists. He's a best lecturer, and according to the Web of Science Award, he is a leader of science. He was nominated, and in 2018, he was awarded the prize Man of the Year, Altın Adam, in the category Science Worker. And his topic is development of nanotechnology and practical application of nanomaterials.
Мәке сөз өзіңізде.
Да, добрый день, Бижан Бельбаевич, уважаемые слушатели. В первую очередь, конечно же, хотелось бы...
Hello, dear participants and Bigjan, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to take a part in this online lecture, Science Talks. And I would like also to congratulate everyone
достижения тех университет, которые сейчас имеет, на самом деле это феномен казну, 165 место в рейтинге QS. Все это благодаря, конечно же, ученым, профессорско-преподавательскому составу и руководству университета. Еще раз хотелось бы поблагодарить и перейти к своему докладу. Действительно, вот как уже говорилось, нанотехнологии на сегодняшний день это одно из наиболее перспективных направлений, с чем связывает новую промышленную революцию.
Nanotechnology is a relatively new field of scientific and technical and simultaneously fundamental research with a wide range of technical applications. It originated at the intersection of different fields of science: physics, chemistry, biology, medicine, and technical sciences. The word nano from the Greek is a dwarf, is a prefix meaning of billions share. Imagine the relationship between our globe's honey and a soccer ball, the same relationship between the same ball and nano objects. Nanomaterials are materials that have nanoscale sizes from 1 to 200 nanometers in at least one direction. So the methods of obtaining nanomaterials are divided into top to bottom and bottom to top technologies. Today, modern research methods help us to solve the mysteries of antiquity and application of nanotechnology back in those days. A strong damask steel, a composition of paint that allows them to retain their juiciness and not fade. The room lacquer cup changes color depending on the lighting. In normal light, it's green. If the light will pass through the walls, the vessel becomes red. This is due to the thinnest layer of colloidal gold and silver with a thickness of 70 nanometers. The stained glass windows of the cathedrals of Our Lady of Paris are painted with paint containing nanoparticles of gold, which, being catalysts for the decomposition of organic substances, purifies the air. This catalytic property is inherent only to gold nanoparticles. It doesn't possess volume gold. And the beauty and richness of colors which we admire to this day. In the Middle Ages, pottery artisans from the province of Umbria used nanotechnology. Ceramic objects were covered with incandescent or metallic glaze. The samples were shimmering in the sun, sparkling with golden shine, changing the color at different angles. As a result, Italian scientists have found them the cause of such properties of paint in the presence of tiny metal particles from 5 to 10 to 9 to 10 to 7 meters across. While studying hair samples of ancient Egyptians, it was found out that for dyeing hair in black was used a natural mineral dye, galena or lead sulfide. Ancient cosmetologists have achieved shredding of coloring particles to the size of 5 nanometers, and their uniform penetration into the hair tissue throughout its thickness. Even the most modern technologies do not give such results. Nanotechnology in nature. One of the brightest examples it is lotus flower, which grows in the swamp. Despite the environment, its leaves are always clean, white, thanks to the nanofibers on the surface of the leaves, due to which the surface has super hydrophobic properties, i.e. repels water while the drops roll up to attract particles of dirt. Today, such technologies are widely used in construction. Glass surfaces are covered with titanium dioxide. Also, on the legs of the gecko are nanofilaments, which interact with the particles of the surface by the van der Waals, which is very difficult to unlock. The history of nanotechnology development. And historically, the point of reference in nanotechnology takes in 1959 from the famous phrase of Nobel laureate Richard Feynman's bottom fall, assuming that in the future, mankind will be able to create objects by collecting them atom by atom. Contemporaries at the time took these words as a joke of fiction. In 1974, the term nanotechnology was first introduced by a Japanese physicist from Tokyo University, Professor Taniguchi. In 1981, engineers from the Swiss branch of IBM Corporation invented the scanning tunneling microscope. In the course of experiments, it became clear that with the tunneling microscope cannot only see individual atoms, but also applying a third intention to influence them. For example, pick up the atom and place it in the right place. That is, physicists have a theoretical opportunity to manipulate atoms and therefore to directly collect from them, like from bricks, anything, any object, and any substance. So, the classification of nanomaterials. Nanomaterials are materials that have at least one direction of nanoscale size from 1 to 200 nanometers. When we talk about three-dimensional objects, are nanoparticles, two-dimensional nanofilms, one-dimensional nanofibers, and nanowires, and zero-dimensional quantum dot. By analyzing publications by keywords, nanomaterials, and nanotechnology, we can see the constantly growing dynamics of publications in this direction. So the nanotechnologies there can be used in a variety of spheres, in the medicine, in the sports, energy, and in construction. American researchers Egler and Schweitzer demonstrated the first practical achievement of nanotechnology using a scanning tunneling microscope produced by IBM Corporation from 35 xenon atoms by their successive movements on the surface of a single nickel crystal, laid out 3 letters of the company logo. Scientists from South Korea at the Electronics and Telecommunications Research Institute created the first prototype of a flexible OLED panel by using graphene as a material for electrodes. Well, it had the right conductivity, but it's flexible and enough to not to crack. Nanotechnology has a future. Its innovative potential is huge, and its field of application is rapidly expanding. The field of application of nanotechnology in medicine ranges from painting hospital walls with special bactericidal paints containing silver nanoparticles to creating artificial organs and autonomous micro and nanosystems for diagnosis and treatment. But the expectations are very high, from targeted drug delivery to the affected tissue and the creation of new implants that are not rejected by the body, to DNA analysis and the establishment of amino acid sequences of proteins. And by analyzing publications by keywords, nanomaterials, and nanotechnology, we can see that the constantly growing dynamics of publications in this direction and leading countries in this direction, which once announced the launch of a national nanotechnology initiatives are United States and China. And in Kazakhstan, by the number of publications in this direction, the leading positions are occupied by Al-Farabi Kazakh National University, then by Nazarbayev University. The third place takes Gumilev Eurasian National University, and after that, Nuclear Physics Institute and Institute of Combustion Problems, and etc. Today, nanomaterials are widely used in a construction for reinforcement of mechanical properties, strengthening, damping fills, self-cleaning, coatings, and many other things. But I'm proud that in Kazakhstan, our scientists, and I'm grateful for them, that are trying to develop this field. We can see that it develops in Kazakhstan, and quite a lot of laboratories related to nanotechnology research are developed. So and we hope that it will continue. So thank you. Today we hear a lot about nanotechnologies, and it was predicted that in the upcoming 20 years, every person will use some kind of nanotechnologies. And nanotechnology, they will bring the human nation to the great revolution in science. It will give an opportunity for the human nation for the great discoveries. To construct and build a new materials. And our next speaker is Gainel Usataeva. And our chat is working, and you can address your question to our speakers. And also all those materials, they were published on the official profiles on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram as well. So maybe in the future you will have some other questions, so you can ask them on our official profiles. Ask for a question from our speakers. And our next speaker is Gainel Usataeva. She is a physician. She's a doctor. And I think it's important to mention that she's a doctor that, today our doctors, our savers. She's a physician, a specialist in public health organizations, and bioethics. She's a candidate of medical sciences, master of public health, director of local ethical committee, associate professor of Al-Farabi Kazakh National University. She is an advisor to the World Health Organization on child health issues. She is a UNICEF consultant on healthcare organization, member of the National Bioethics Commission, member of the European Public Health Association, UNESCO regional coach for bioethics. She honored in public health of the Republic of Kazakhstan. And her topic is bioethics as a matter of humanism and respect for the individual. Oh, hello, dear colleagues, moderator, Big Jean. Thank you for this opportunity. Well, to tell a little bit about bioethics and why bioethics became so popular today. So bioethics is a young science that appeared in the second half of the 20th century. Well, so it's quite a young science that appeared about 50 years ago. Its fundamental principles are humanist in nature. Bioethics was formed the result of an attempt to adapt classical humanism to the realities of modern civilization and the latest achievements of scientific and technological progress, in particular medicine. Classical humanism is an important type of philosophical outlook, the highest value that recognizes a person with inherent abilities, ways of their development, with characteristic norms of behavior and relations. It was believed that the individual should strive for self-realization, self-education, and the individual should be harmonious, ethically and aesthetically perfect. And as we know, ethic and aesthetics are belong to philosophy somehow. And this can be seen in the works and philosophers of antiquity, such as Democritus and Aristotle, as well as in the works of Al-Farabi and Abay Kunanbayev. As we know, Aristotle was the one who inspired Al-Farabi for development of the ethics in the East world. So if you're not really familiar with philosophy, so I recommend you to get familiar with the works of Al-Farabi and Aristotle as well. As we know, the science developed for a long and still developing, and one of the most interesting and human philosophical concept of the 20th century is the ethics of the before life, the founder of which is Albert Schweitzer. This theory is based on the principle of reverence for life in any form and the elevation of the suffering of all living beings. It should be noted that the humanists didn't make any distinction in the value of life of any living being, both human and animal. So as you can see on the screen is the photo of Albert Schweitzer, the founder of one of the founder of the ethics of below life theory. And as he told, for a true moral man, every life is sacred, even the life that seems inferior from our human point of view. As we remember from our history, that the Second World War happened, and well, it caused this type of development of a lot of quite a lot of scientists felt. And as you know, that during this Second World War, a lot of experiments they were done. They were rude and obnoxious. And during the Second World War, eventually, so it was mentioned that it was the worst time for humanation, and it's actually helped to come for the understanding of the countries. Yeah, so there should be mentioned there are several documents, important international ethical documents: the Nuremberg Code, the Declaration of Geneva, and the International Code of Medical Ethics, and the Declaration of Helsinki, and which was adopted in 1964 and last revised in 2013. But even when all these documents they were developed and launched, there was still no term for bioethics. And the term bioethics was introduced into modern scientific language by American oncologist and biologist and philosopher one Rensselaer Potter in his book Bioethics, Bridge to the Future, which was published in 1971. Initially, the term bioethic was applied to environmental ethics, as Porter's main message was to bring together the humanities and biological sciences to find the best solution to the problem of preserving life on the planet and to take into account the distant consequences of scientific and technological progress, especially in the field of biomedical technologies. So he outlined the main directions for developing environmental and ethical ideas in their application and biological research and medical practice. And as we know, a lot of writers, they wrote this fantastic and anti-utopist novels. So the idea of potters was supported by many scientists. And first of all, the question was about the role of biology in solving the global problem of survival of mankind in conditions of technogenic civilization and possible disasters. But as we already know, the concept of bioethics began to expand rapidly. And new meanings and understandings were introduced into it, and now this term is used to denote a wide range of ethical issues arising from the rapid progress of modern medicine, biotechnology, biomedical science, and environmental sciences. And as we know, bioethics is united by philosophy, medicine, biotechnology. And what is the benefit from bioethics? And bioethics supports a wide range of ethical issues related to the issues of humanism, ethics, and everything that is related to the humanation, humankind. So it's like to find the balance between the progress of the science and keeping the moral and ethical principles of human. Modern achievements of the scientific and technological revolution in science and biotechnology have expanded opportunities in the field of biomedicine, as well as had a strong impact on traditional concepts of good and evil, the good of the patient, the idea of the beginning and end of human life, which in turn stimulate further development of bioethics. Since its inception, biotech has developed in two main directions. The first is related to the understanding and assessment of medical practice and the ethical dilemmas it generates. And in the second is the need to control the development of biomedical science and in particular biotechnology, which has a strong impact on the world, whole world. And bioethics has become an applied field of ethics or philosophy of morality. It seeks to address issues of good, evil, justice, conscience, and duty in various areas of practical healthcare and medical science through the prism of philosophical analysis. Modern bioethics is divided into many areas, and the boundaries between them are very tentative, as these areas are closely interlinked. Moreover, since bioethics is rapidly evolving, many areas are in a state of formation and have not yet received their own name and design. And the question of the structure of the subject area of bioethics is therefore quite complex. And nowadays, achievements of biomedical science very quickly turn into innovative and then routine technologies that allow to fight the most severe ailments, increase life expectancy, live in extreme conditions, and etc. At the same time, such achievements in science and technology make people think that new technologies cannot always bring good to humanity. Moreover, it's often necessary to make a choice because very often the seeming good of innovation can cause serious harm to all mankind, and sometimes it's necessary to make up huge efforts to overcome the negative consequences of their application. And of course, it's very important to know that bioethics is by no means intended to stop or slow down scientific and technological progress, as it is destructive for humanity. And moreover, bioethics takes ways to reflect on and solve existing problems so that scientific and technological developments do not infringe on human rights and dignity, health, and well-being. So what is the range of problems currently being studied by bioethics? First of all, these are general theoretical problems revealing the peculiarities of universal moral values of goodness, justice, compassion, mercy, of duty, conscience, freedom in the activities of a science and a doctor, developing ethical principles, rules, and norms of bioethics, determining the existential characteristics of life and death, the value of human life, the relationship between harm and benefit to human health and life. In addition, the so-called open problems are highlighted, determination of the embryo status, ethical analysis of new reproductive technologies, including surrogacy and artificial insemination, abortion and contraception, euthanasia and resuscitation, donation, nanotechnology, palliative care, determination of the patient's autonomy in psychiatry, etc. So it should be said that the circle of these open problems is constantly expanding. The ontological problems also remain a relevant development of effective ways of regulation of relations between healthcare workers and patients within the teams of medical organizations, models of relations between healthcare workers and patients, ethical and legal analysis of medical errors and judgments, rights of patients and doctors, specifics of moral problems in oncology, psychiatry, geriatrics, and palliative care. In recent years, bioethics has become a large and independent social institution of modern society, which in turn has led to the emergence of institutional issues. This includes analysis of the activities of ethical committees, moral aspects of the functioning and development of modern healthcare system. This has expanded the scope of ethical analysis in the context of public health. This has led to a focus of bioethics in public health, with the development and implementation of measures to monitor and improve public health. And moreover, the bioethics of public health goes beyond the traditional system and considers structural conditions that promote or impede the development of a healthy society. So how does the inequality in health status and access to healthcare for the population manifest itself? So, for example, the equity in resource allocation should be based on the fact that it is sometimes more important to develop prevention work that will be benefit more people than high-tech procedures that will benefit only a few people. And when it comes to responding to the threat of infectious diseases and carrying out activities to contain the spread of these diseases, difficult questions arises to whether it's appropriate to limit personal choices in order to protect the well-being of others. For example, using isolation and quarantine for tuberculosis and infectious disease pandemics. In the area of donation, transplant tourism is becoming widespread, putting the health and sometimes lives of people living in poverty at risk and transforming the human body into a commodity. So how to solve all the complex set of problems and issues? And according to the concept, bioethics is based on 4 basic principles. It's autonomy, have no harm, do good or benefit, and justice. Also, the principle of respect for autonomy is based on the following rules. Tell the truth, respect for other people's privacy, protecting confidential information, obtaining consent for patient interventions. If they are asked, they will help to make a decision. The principle of positive benefit encourages its supporters to benefit others and is laid down in the following rules. So protect the rights of others, protect from harm that may be done to others, remove conditions that may harm others, and support people with disabilities. Also, help people who are in a dangerous situation. So from the historical point of view of bioethics, science began to develop from a broad public debate about the moral choice on the border between life and death, and the conditions generated by the progress of modern biomedical technologies in order to preserve life in its various forms, being a mirror of humanism and respect for the individual. So, and as we can see, all these 4 basic principles on which the bioethics is based, autonomy, have no harm, do good, benefit, and just are very important and significant. So the doctors, they should be familiar with these 4 principles, which are related, as it was said earlier, to the principle of respect for autonomy. And we actually can talk a lot about bioethics. It's quite an interesting field of for research. And today, well, the issues related to bioethics are necessary. So, and well, the main purpose of our of our research center to make the bioethics famous and make people familiar with bioethics, and of course to avoid the plagiarism during the research and publishing papers. So and to conclude, for more illustrative purposes, I would like to present the word 17, Science and Human Properties from Abhay Kunanbayev's Word of Edification, or Word of Wisdom. So I will read briefly his word 17. So as you remember that the power, mind, and heart, they were arguing over who of them is more necessary to the people, ensuring that they cannot agree. So they turned to science, and science and as science solved a dispute in a following way. So that hurt is leading human. If this happens and you will unite in one person, then he will become right as man. If the mind, heart, they will unite. So if you can unite together, then I shall give preference to heart, king of human life. Thank you, dear speaker Gaynel Mirtaevna. I found your topic and your perform fascinating. We can say that bioethics is a new form of philosophical development. And as Al-Farabi said, the human being is a social being, so and he belongs to society. And he also divided virtue into two types: ethical, and intellectual. And according to Al-Farabi, Al-Farabi's philosophy, the true happiness could be reached and also actually leads to the position of all virtuous, ethical, and intellectuals as well. And Al-Farabi said that the true happy person is a person who is free by his or her nature. So, and yeah, we always talk about the virtue person, but there's also an antipode of it in the classification of sciences. He provides us with the several types of the cities. And Al-Farabi, he gives his own description to the to each type of the city. And most of his ideas are relevant today. And all this, so he, in his this book, he's mentioned that all there is no benefits from knowledge if person he do not he do not exclusive or he's not familiar with ethical and with ethics and morals. So in the future, I hope that our participants and listeners of the session, they will ask the questions. Actually, they have that kind of opportunity, and all our platforms on YouTube and Facebook are free and open, so you can ask questions there. Or if you want, you can. Or if you want, you can ask questions here while we're streaming online. If there is no questions, I would like also again to thank you, our speakers. Thank you. Goodbye.
До свидания.